I'm on stage with you all in the morning, and tonight learning about art and streetwear, like from
Wow,
legends, bro. So, uh,
that's so cool. So before crypto, you weren't really into streetwear and sneakers?
nah, man, Dre will honestly, Dre jokes on me because I grew up in California, right? And when you grow up in California, when you're born, they hand you a pair of white Vans. They say, "Here's your white Vans, and here's your longboard." You know what I'm saying? And like, this is what you got. So that's all I rock. Like I wear white Vans, and I get in these spaces, and Dre's like, "Nah, nah, nah, we got to get you right." And Baron in here is like, "Yeah, we got to get Compound right." Like, so I've actually been learning here in Web3 the entire streetwear, like fashion, sneaker side of things is something that I never was a part of. So it reminds me,
That's cool.
it reminds me of our conversation this morning, though, going like, you can come into this space and just kind of have your eyes open to so many different aspects, you know?
Yeah, I've heard a couple of stories like that where um, they didn't know about me or the brand, sneakers, streetwear, nothing, and then came in through like you were saying, Artifact or something like that. And it's cool because I just love the different entry points. Like not everyone has to come through the same door.
Is that I was telling Jeff, kind of the bad take styles, we bring kind of the community up. This, I know I usually, like, we usually host, but honestly, this space is more of a community effort. We bring people, we have like consistent speakers that come in and we all, partake and contribute to kind of the conversation throughout the night. So, how are you doing, bro? Nice to see you. Have you hopped any other spaces today?
No, I was just on the office hours earlier, and I've just been working ever since then. But finally, for the first time in months, I allowed myself to have a little bit of fun outside of art, and I started playing my Switch again. I bought the remastered Metroid Prime, and I started playing that, and I was kind of like not struggling, but I'm having a little bit of a trouble filling a puzzle piece on this section of my drawing that I'm working on. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take a little bit of advice from earlier and just go do something else. And I finally like I have all these games, bro, that I bought over the past couple months. I have all these anime Blu-rays that I bought. They're still all in plastic. And I my excuse is I'm a collector. I like to collect shit, so I'm just gonna watch them later down the road. But really, I used to be really good at like at the end of the day uh, watching an anime or playing a game or something like that before going to bed, kind of to like just chill out. And I'm not gonna lie, ever since I entered the space, it's been like really just grind mode, like nonstop work. So and part of it is just because I just want to. I already spend a lot of time on my pieces as it is, so I want to be able to put out work out there. Obviously not rush it, but just work on my stuff. But it's hard to for me to take that break from art because it's fun for me. That's my escape, and it's hard for me to do other stuff. But yeah, I finally got around to it. I started playing Metroid Prime, and yeah, it's bringing back a bunch of memories.
So Jeff told us his cure for creativity block, writer's block, or both, was traveling, bro. And I mean, honestly, you get back from a trip and you kind of want to plug in and get back into your shit. I get it. So we didn't get to hear your, like, as an artist, what is your um cure for writer's block or creativity block?
But man, to be honest, and I'm not saying this like in a bragging way or anything, but it's really rare for me to have creator's block. The funny thing though, when it does happen, it's just like Jeff was saying, and it seems so simple, but it's true. Like just I step away from the piece, even if it's for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just go out and like play with my cat or just like I don't know, just stare at something else, just do anything else. And like what I kind of realized that like especially when he was talking about traveling, the times I do travel, I travel just to hang out with friends or go to these NFT meetups or whatever. But by the middle of those trips, I'm like itching to get back to work. Like I'm missing it. Like I'm like full of inspiration, and that wasn't the purpose, right? Like I didn't take the trip to go um, get inspiration, it just comes naturally. And I find the same thing happens when you go and take that 10-minute walk or just go do something else. It's like your body starts moving, blood starts flowing. It's you get more oxygen to your brain, and you start thinking a little bit more clearly. And yeah, it could be as simple as just getting up, to be honest. But um, yeah, man, when the times that I do struggle with it, like I said, I do watch like an anime or you know go play Call of Duty with my friends. Um, but yeah, it's everyday stuff, man. Pretty simple.
I guess the term touching grass can literally mean anything. Touching grass means stop looking at the timeline, stop diving into the drama on the timeline, like just tune out the digital things for a bit and just kind of go outside. Like for me, it just means going outside, honestly.
I mean, I will say this, if you are like trying to enter the flow state in whatever it is you're doing, being on your phone is probably the worst thing you can do for that, to be honest. Like if you want to really like create something or just like focus and give like your all to whatever it is you're doing to see the best results, like put your phone away, man. Like it's probably one of the best pieces of advice I could give anybody, to be honest.
For sure. Agree 100%. And it's funny, like one sort of like black belt level pro tip that ZK just mentioned was that, as a creator and as an artist, that if you're fortunate enough to be in a place where like your quote unquote job, aka the way you make your living, is in the thing that you love doing, then the irony is it's actually really hard to, you know, quote unquote put the pen down. You know what I mean? Like, because A, you're loving what you're doing. B, the more you do what you love, the more money you make. This is like a no brainer. Why would you ever want to stop? But you can still burn out from that. And it's even harder at that point to know when to like take that walk, take a breather. And you could like really just like go to the point of exhaustion, kind of like a car engine where like you're redlining at, level 8 for like 72 straight hours. That engine, even if it's meant to do that, has to take a breather and has to stop for a bit. So just like your brain does. Um, and I think ZK and I are in the same position where we're fortunate enough to be able to do what we love to do, and even yourself, Compound, like even doing this, like I hope you can take more of a break on spaces and preaching the gospel and stuff, but like eventually, yeah, all of us need a little bit of a breather and touch grass, as you said.
And like you said, the irony is that doing all those things, other things that also like inspire you, will obviously inspire you to for new ideas for whatever it is you're working in. That's kind of like the hard thing that I kind of been stuck on these last couple of months is like that's why the reason all these games and all these movies are still sealed is because it's in my mind. I'm like, dude, if you're gonna spend an hour, 2 hours playing the game or watching this movie, you could be putting that into your work. And that's like a really like fine line to walk, especially as a creator, because obviously if you come from the art side, like if you go watch a badass anime, you're gonna get inspired no matter what. And the irony is that's gonna bring that inspiration to your work. But it's you have to it's like it's hard at least for me right now to realize that hey, that's gonna happen. You just gotta do it and take a breather.
You got to move those feet, Compound.
Jam,
That's what
actually.
Baron says all the time to the bad take chat.
Yep.
Jeff, Zaid, what's up? This is Baron talking. That's what I love about shoes, and I really resonated with what Zaid said. He's like, just sometimes it's about getting up. You got to move those feet. That gets my gears going and keeps me off my phone. It's hard for me to
We actually
walk and look at the phone at the same time. So moving those feet, baby. That's my slogan, and brings me back to shoes. That's why I love putting fun shoes on, man, because it gets me excited about getting up, and then it all just clicks. Then we
I
all
don't know
just
if anybody else does this, but I got this thing that I do with my homies where when we get together, we all open up our phones and show our screen time usage to each other. And the lowest number is the biggest G of the group. So taking that word of what you just said, like, all right, who's on their phone averaging fucking 10, 12 hours a day? And then, like, if I pull out, like, my, I'm aiming for like 3 hours, 4 hours. And I know everyone on this spaces now is going to open up their phone to see their screen time, be like, oh shit, my number's mad high. But no, the one who has the lowest time gets the most props. So facts on that one.
We're actually in here in Bad Tech, we're actually super conscious of mental health and kind of taking care of that while also doing all of this. And the other night, we all put our screen time in the comments of the space, and I had a realization, man. I was 9 hours, 8 hours average, and that's a third of my life that I'm staring at a screen, Jeff. I had, yeah, everybody in here can remember I had like a existential crisis. I'm like, what am I doing?
I have
Y'all are
13
fat.
hours
You
plus.
probably gained like 20 pounds, so go for a run.
Bro, I'm on the phone while I'm running, while I'm reading at all times because, like, my business requires it, though.
No, dude, I think
Yeah,
we put
that's
the
tough.
replays on.
Excuses.
Kuro
Bro.
is cheating though. He's like a foot taller than all of us, so he's cheating.
What was your screen time, Jeff? Tell us. I told you mine.
The last time I checked, it was 3.5 hours.
Oh, damn.
Baller
Yeah, man.
status.
ZK?
Baller status.
It
Mine
How about
is
is.
you?
right now. I have been on my phone a bit more because of the Sapiens project and everything, and trying to just promote it and all that stuff. But I am at 7 hours right now.
Wait,
You're
doesn't
right
that
there with me,
include
man.
all of your Apple devices, though? Because, like, screen time, it goes
Oh,
from my M2, my iPads, and
can we?
everyone else.
Does it show us what app we spend the time on though? Because to be fair, I spend a lot of time on YouTube, but I don't even like necessarily like I'm watching the phone. I just put on like a video for like noise, background noise. So I feel like that screen time is probably closer to 5 hours if I'm being honest. 5.
I'm in the same boat. Like I put on a ton of podcasts and just throw an earbud in and listen while I'm working or whatever I'm doing. Like it's rare that I'm actually even looking at the screen unless I'm looking something up or I'm looking for a reference to something. But a lot of the times it's just it's something to play in the background. You know, it's something to kind of a little music or a conversation or a space, something like this, just to kind of get a little information in while I'm working. But yeah, I rarely do I kind of surf. You know what I mean? It's rare.
I was surfing today. There was a lot of good stuff out there today for the Artifact squad. Just happy to see it, man. It's just so good. I'm sure for you all up here, it's just like to see the innovation in this sneaker world. And I mean, I saw a tweet. It was like the sneaker world has changed today. The Web3 changed today. I believe that, and it's fun for me to watch, to see these moments for the founders, because I know they're so limited. And Jeff, you probably feel this sometimes. You're like so limited in what you can talk about as it relates to your own project, and yet you're working on it so hard and you're grinding. So on days like today, it's just like, oh my God, surf away, enjoy the wave. Like there's so much cool stuff. Um, it's a joy.
Would you really like surf or like surf the web? What are you talking about here?
So much surfing on the phone. Actually, that's a good question. It could raise a good question, Baron. Jeff as a founder and Zed as an artist and a founder. How do you guys manage that? How do you manage, sharing information but not too much? Um, you know, wanting to put stuff out there but having to kind of keep a secret so there's still, the unknown, and it's a hard balance that I'm learning in Web3. Is like super difficult to balance.
For sure. I mean, I'm an older cat, so I come from like a prior generation learning from people like, Steve Jobs, and how it was loose lips sink ships. I feel like a grandfather even just saying that fucking quote, to be honest with y'all. Like most people are like, what does that actually mean? It's an old saying that basically meant like if you have loose lips and you're like talking about projects that you're working on too much, that sinks ships. And I'm of that mindset. So I mean, the Stapleverse team who's on this will know that like they're always trying to get me to like share publicly things that we're working on and like reveal alpha and stuff like that. And I'm trying to share more and be more transparent, and that's what Web3 is all about. But I've just been growing up on 2, 3 decades of like hold the line, keep it secret, sign those NDAs, and then when release day happens, that's when you go about and you brag about what you do. But I've been learning a lot from like the younger cats, even in the sneaker and streetwear game. Like some of my friends, like shout out Salehi Bembury and stuff. He's kind of like been known for like working on a shoe and showing the sketch like 8, 12 months before it comes out. He calls it like the long lead reveal, whereas me, I'm like, I just like to show the shoe like I'm on that, like it's available tomorrow, go check it out, but he's like teasing it for 6 months. um but you just have, it's just different strokes for different folks, you know what I mean? I don't think there's a necessarily right or wrong way. I do really try to be respectful and cognizant of collaborative partners and try to not reveal things. So like, even when you guys are bigging up Artifact and stuff, like, I'm on conference calls with these guys, and so like I'm excited too, but I'm always afraid that I'm going to open my big mouth and say something that was said in the confidence of a conference call, and then I said it, and then because that's happened to me mad times in my career where like something was said, I thought it was okay to say because it was said in a room and nobody said like, yo, everyone, this is locked down. No one can say. We're just talking. We're just riffing. And then I say something out in the public. It gets back to the other person and they're like, yo, Jeff, we heard you said this. Why did you say that out? I've had that happen to me so many times that I'm just like PTSD and I'm just like zipper over my mouth and that's it. I just try not to say anything. So even when you guys were talking about like the dope shit Artifact was doing, it's hard. It's honestly hard because it's stuff that I've been seeing behind the scenes like for months now. So I just try to remain silent, move in silence, if you will.
Don't worry, we have a rule out here, man. Like, there's no alpha allowed to be asked um, to people that we know have the alpha, just so they could come up here and kick it and not feel like they're gonna get bashed with alpha or questions. So don't worry. I mean, we won't try to dig it out of you. No, just kidding. So what about ZK? What about you, bro? How do you manage
I think for me,
hyping and
it's a lot easier because I'm purely more of an artist and I do my own thing. So it's really up to me how much I want to disclose. It's it's a fine balance of oversharing as well, so you got to be mindful of that. But when it comes to like just for example, this Friends piece that I've been working on, I feel like sharing like a pretty decent like update on it, like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks is fair for now. Just because I don't want to like I don't know. I kind of have to save a lot of the progress I do on that piece for like the big uh progress update, like towards like when I put in like another 100, 200 hours into it. But when it comes to like collabs, especially companies, that's easy. It's NDAs. You can't legally talk about it. But yeah, like I've been holding on to some fucking shit from this esports organization that I did some work with for months now, and I can't like tell you guys what it is. I can't tell you when it's dropping. I can't tell you like I can't even show the art. So that's what's killing me the most is not being able to show you guys the art. But in due time, hopefully whenever they're ready. And that's what's crazy is I've already been paid. Like the check hit the account already. So it's like, fuck. I'm not even like sweating them not paying me or anything. It's just waiting on them. But it's a I'm sure Jeff knows it's a different monster when there's production, like big numbers of production to physical stuff. And yeah, so you just kind of gotta let that play out. But when it comes to the art
See,
stuff,
your friend's example is a really good example because you've been showing sneaks of that for months and months now, right? For a really long time.
years,
And when
2 years now.
years, yeah. And when you finally say this is done, and I have a pool with people to see it, like bets going if and when that ever actually happens. But if and when you finally say this is done, the story of that piece is now like mythology, like it's just people know about it and everything. Versus if you went with my old head ass way and kept that a secret for all these years, and then all of a sudden one day you just dropped Friends, people would just be like, "What the fuck is
It
this?
wouldn't hit
Like
as
this is
hard.
some."
Uh,
It wouldn't hit as hard, exactly. So you're doing
100%.
it like the right way, in my opinion,
I think
even though it's in contrast to what I usually do.
that's always been my philosophy when I do any work. It's a way for me to bring in my following, my supporters, on whatever journey I'm currently on with me. Just because I see pieces from some of my favorite artists and they don't post works in progress. And I wish I could see how they start. Like, I wish I could see that initial sketch. And with friends, I have a post of the initial sketch on paper that I had of the first character I ever did. And people that have been there with me since then saw that. And then what's going to be cool for them is once I finally do finish this thing, they're going to be like, damn, it started from that one sketch on paper he showed like years back. And yeah, it's just if any other artists are listening, it's a good way to engage your supporters, just to bring them with you on the journey of whatever piece you're working on, by showing these works in progress. And it's just we're humans. We like to see how things work, how things are made, and just seeing a piece come to life from step one, I think, is a very cool thing to showcase, in my opinion.
But let me ask you this question, and this is awesome because this is where like the teacher becomes the student now, right? Like, you ever you ever have like people want to see stuff that you're working on and it's not done yet, it's not complete yet, right? And you show them and they're like, "Oh, it'd be dope if you did this, that, and the third." And in your head, you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm showing you mid work, like I'm showing you in the midst of process work." That just drives me crazy, which is why I am like that student in school that like covers everything that they're working on until the very last minute when it's ready to be shown. Don't you ever feel that way? Like, you get frustrated too, or you're
No,
like
it's
totally
quite the
comfortable
opposite.
just
It's
showing?
quite the opposite. Let me tell you
Wow.
why. Because I like some of the sketches I show on purpose like that because I like to make people think that that's it. Like, oh, is that gonna be it? Like, and then once I show the color version of that whatever finished part, it's even better than the sketch. So I like to think I like to make people think that there's no more room for more like progression. And then once I do post like the final sketch of that thing, whatever I do this a lot with these works in progress that I post. I post a sketch, and then once I post the color version, it has like so many things that I left out on the sketch on purpose, so people can see that I can still make things more fucking badass. So I
Wow.
never think
Prop
that.
kudos.
I can tell you
Kudos,
from
man.
I'll tell you from the other side is that seeing your updates on Friends makes me feel like I'm a part of the journey somehow, right? Just seeing the updates. So the goal that you're pushing to like kind of make everybody feel like they're a part of the journey is completely working. I don't know if I'll have the ETH to get it in that auction at the end, but I feel like I'm there,
I
you
mean,
know?
I can actually post uh the sketch work in progress of Jeff's character that I added into the piece, just because I'm confident that by the time I ink it and color it, it's gonna be 100 times better. So
Run it, baby. Let's go. Let's see it.
We should do
Yeah.
something with the initial sketch. We should really like make that like the ultra super legendary piece, like the cocktail napkin
well,
from
we
ZK.
actually you kind of seen this already, but I just added stuff to it and added your pigeon dunks to the feet. So
Oh yeah, the red line, the those sketch lines.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
so see, look, you saw that sketch, right? So this I made it even better, and then I'm gonna make it even better after I finish inking it and coloring it. So
Okay, everyone, this idea literally was unplanned, not discussed prior. We literally just thought of it on bad take. All
and I
right,
got
we'll give you a shout out, Compound. Don't worry.
I gotta ask you, what
But
are you that pool you talked about earlier? I'm trying to help you out. How many is this like
okay.
in the hours or like years or like like
Oh no, this is months. This is
months?
months.
Oh, okay. I probably at least like 8 months worth of work, 8 to a year
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. I think there's an option of there's a bet on never too.
Let me see. So I'll post it right now.
Bro, adding OG the original whips as a piece of the collection. That's so dope.
Yeah.
I really like hearing both points of view on the rollout because the way Jeff put it, as the old head rollout, like my kind of thought process has always kind of been like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So like with that thought, like it's proven, like that rollout of kind of hold the cards close to your chest, and then when it's time to like show the world, then we just kind of dominate and take over. That's always been like a successful means of doing things. But I also like in kind of this newer generation of like access with like YouTube and social media, like we have access to these creators, and like we can kind of, it's nice to see the veil kind of get pulled back a little bit, and see kind of how these things are put together kind of piece by piece. And so if you are a creator, if you are somebody or just a lover of the work, like you get like this inside look, and you get this a look that was never really given before. I mean, it was never really accessible in the past. And so I think it can drive hype as well, to be able to see these little works in progress. And it gives everybody, another a reminder that you're here, and that you're continuing to do what you set out to do. So I think it's a beautiful way of doing things.
Y'all are inspiring me. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, like, just if you go back in time through the great artists, like whether it's like, Picasso down to like, Keith Haring or like Basquiat, and then even more recent, like, like Damien Hirst or whatever. Like, it was only really in the last 3 to 5 years where that access was available, and it's really us from that past that like still feels like they're happy in their protective shell of privacy where they don't have to share because the tech didn't enable it. But now that it is enabled, um it's just a wealth of knowledge, and like ZK, you were saying, it helps you make your work better, it pushes you, and it's inspiring for me to hear. I got to get more comfortable with it, and start sharing more.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm a bit of an old head as well. So I went through a 3-day like psych eval course in Germany for this like leadership course that I was doing for a brand. You could probably guess one of the two. And the number one takeaway for me was a lack of sharing information through a desire for it to be perfect, to deliver a perfect product at the end of the journey. And so I've been working on that as a part of like brand development and team management over the last couple of years. And the biggest unlock for me in going from holding everything close to like a big bang moment to constantly sharing information and bringing people along for the journey is the removal of pressure on that final moment, which is so massive, right? You can accrue an audience as you progress through the journey by little bits of information and essentially becoming the face of a project and a product rather than just the product itself, having this breakthrough moment and this huge importance on like one article or leak or day. And it's been a massive unlock for me, like both professionally and personally, because it's removed a whole bunch of anxiety. You get that community feedback. You have people want to come along for a ride for 3, 6, 12, 18 months. And, it's been a massive change. Like I'm closer to 40 than 30. And, I've actually got my first sneaker job in like 2004. I think you and I have a million friends in common. It's a surprise. We've never actually met in real life, but it's been a huge thing. And like to hear people talk about it as a younger generation, that this is like their everyday process, where I'm like, nah, man, I'm so like terrified of things getting leaked or stolen or jacked. But, little things like concept sketches, design ideas, narratives, stories behind the scenes, like it takes so much pressure off that like final big press release that, yeah, man, I don't think I'll ever go back to that again.
Thanks for that insight. That's amazing. In a related thing, I just learned about this. I don't know if you guys have heard about, um, it's a TikTok thing, but have you guys heard about the Gen Z shake versus the millennial pause?
Yes, bro. I've watched so many videos on it, and I never realized there was a
Yo,
difference.
for those who don't know, it's wild. So the Gen Z shake, everyone's seen it. It's basically where you see the teenager take their phone in their hand, put it down. They're recording the whole time, right? So it's like in selfie mode. They put it down, there's like this violent sort of vibration from them putting their phone down. They take their 3 steps back, and then they do like whatever they do on TikTok, whatever dance they're doing, right? And the whole thing is recorded. That's a signature Gen Z move. Whereas millennials will set up the tripod, hit record, step back, and kind of like do this like whole like, hey, this is Jeff. Like it looks like a newscast on like Channel 11 News. Like, it's like all as like filtered and formatted as possible. And it's just like that little difference of like that early shake versus the whole tripod perfect setup is exactly what we're talking about. Trying to be perfect, trying to be as filtered as possible and as packaged as possible versus the Gen Z shake, which is like, this was really my camera, no cameraman, no filtration. It's just me putting my phone down, and you're getting the authentic self, which, truth be told, I kind of feel like now, like they're getting keen on that, and that's like part of the marketing now. But I just found that mindset super fascinating.
I dove even deeper into it, Jeff. I found the reason that we do it is because we all grew up with cell phones that had that like few milliseconds of latency. Like it was a pause before it actually started to record. And that's how we knew we needed to wait for that pause before we could start talking. And now we have phones that as soon as you press record, it's got ready to rock. And we're still in this mindset where we think that pause in a second before we start talking. And then the Gen Z kids, they want it to seem as though it was just off the cuff, right off the brain. Grab my phone, press record, and I just thought of this, but it's a pre-planned thing. I don't know why I went down the hole, but it is an interesting one.
Well, if you look at the camera roll, right, of a Gen Z teenager, he or she probably has 50 takes of that put the phone down, shake, and then record, right? They did it like 50 times. They're showing the best one. So there is still this level of like quote unquote production involved. The worst thing though is when you see a millennial try to do the Gen Z shake, it's like the worst cringe thing ever. So I don't know what the right answer is for someone like me.
If I tried to do the Gen Z shake, the phone would break. Literally, everybody would be dying. In my family, they'd be laughing at me. I can't.
I'm slipping a disc. I'm definitely slipping a disc if I'm doing the Gen Z.
Yeah,
shit.
dude,
Who's
Rups. You know
considered
that you can
millennial?
now. I
Like,
couldn't take a selfie until they made it so that you press the down the volume button. That was for a guy like me, Gen Z, or whatever I am. You know what I mean? Old.
yeah, Baron,
I
what are you
am.
considered? A boomer?
Dude, I don't know, man. I'm just a Baron, bro. I'm 39 years young, feeling great. Work out as much as I can, and my screen time needs to. I just checked it, guys. It's bad, and girls, it's bad.
I am
But
genuinely.
it's like pros and cons. I see that. Go ahead, Zaid.
No, I'm just genuinely amazed at this conversation, and like it makes sense. Like the whole difference of how people record depending on whatever generation you're in. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for someone I know I heard somebody ask this question, I just looked it up. I'm Gen X. It means like you're born at no later than 1980. So if you're born in 80 and before, you're Gen X. If you're born in 96 and before, you're a millennial. And if you're born in 2012 or before, you're Gen Z. So that's the
See,
breakdown.
now we're gonna see. This is like that screen time conversation because I put myself into the 80 or before category, even though I'm considered a millennial because I'm like on the early end of that millennial cycle. Like I didn't
And you're
catch
an old soul.
Yeah, I didn't catch like the full like millennial. Like they hadn't fully like accumulated and become what a millennial really represented at the end of the cycle. It's weird to think about, actually.
Yeah, but for this is a shout out to any other old heads in the space. But like I personally feel really blessed that we grew up in an era of the internet not existing. Like not like people say like, oh, I got no internet. No, like the internet did not fucking exist. We know that life. We had to like get girls and get boys without the internet, right? We know how you had to like. I remember when you went to the mall and you had to have your mom pick you up at the mall, and you needed to like fucking. This is gonna blow people away. I would make a collect call to my mom. People don't even know what a fucking collect call is right now, but I would make a collect call to my mom. I would pre-plan that when I discuss with my mom, when you get a collect call, reject the collect call, but that's the signal to come pick my ass up. You have to like coordinate your whole life around this shit, you know? And then the internet came, Web 1, Web 2, now Web 3. And for us older heads that have seen that whole thing, I just feel super blessed that like we can appreciate and understand how amazing life is now, because we know how crazy it was back in the day without the internet.
You know, the collect call was like the bat signal. And for everybody out there, she didn't take the collect call, so she didn't have to pay for it. And it was probably like, what, a quarter, like 24 cents?
A quarter,
or
25 cents.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it's so good.
A lot of money back then.
Signal.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of money.
I just posted on my IG stories. You can check it out right now. Like I said, nobody born after 2000 knows what this is. I posted a picture of it's called a Benzie box. And what this is this was like the height of technological innovation. There was this issue happening in like the 80s where like car stereos were getting jacked out of cars, like literally 100 times a second. It was like rampant. And so somebody invented this handle that flips up from under your car stereo that allowed the user to pull out their entire car stereo when they park their car and then walk around town with their car stereo in their hand like they were holding an attaché case. This was
Bro,
the
you're
height
standing
of
in line
fucking
at Dillard's
technology.
with your fucking car stereo in your
Yes!
hand, bro.
Yes!
Waiting to buy your socks, holding your car stereo so nobody
Holding your
would steal
car
that
stereo.
shit. It was crazy. Your Alpine wouldn't get janked out of your freaking car.
So I showed a picture of this, and mad people are like, "What the fuck is that?" Yep, nuts.
Yo, just connecting all these topics together. I was gonna say, man, like back in the day, you know, like a long time ago, like it was normal for nobody maybe to hear from you for a day or two, and nobody would think anything of it because, you know, it's not like you have your phone on you all the time or your pager or anything like that. But nowadays, like email, work, there's so much pressure to like respond immediately, to like answer immediately, to be like, you know, like if you don't hear from, like if you text somebody or email them and you don't hear from them like at the same day, it's like, what's going on? Are they okay? It's like,
oh yeah, if you got a red receipt and they're not replying, you're like, call 911. Like, oh shit, they're dead. For sure. Man,
yeah,
I remember in my high school, this is a cultural thing too. Like in my high school, pager, you mentioned pagers, so this triggered my memory. Pagers were illegal in my high school because the assumption was that if you had a pager, you were a drug dealer, period. So pagers were banned in my high school. Like 17-year-old kids were not allowed to carry beepers. Now 17-year-old kids are multi-millionaires from playing video games. It's just like fucking wild world. Same generation. It's not like I'm talking the Stone Ages. Like this is like when I was in high school. Now I'm alive talking to high school students, and it's just like blows my freaking mind.
Jeff,
Bro,
what about
you
when you
can't
had the
tell me I didn't
pager,
have. Bro, I had the
but you
best
didn't have the
pager in the
cell?
game.
Dude, you had the pager, but then you didn't even have the phone to go.
No
to
phone.
Yeah,
be
but
out
I
and
had a
about.
dope chain that linked up to my belt loop so I wouldn't lose that thing. I did have that.
After you got a page, you'd have to find a payphone and quarters and stuff to like, you know, return the phone call, like whatever, an hour or two later.
that's why we had those when you would buy your
Codes.
pager, they would give you that little code book of all the messages where you could spell the numbers upside down, and you would flip the pager upside down and then read, like you would be able to just read the that was like the OG
Yes.
text message.
Bro,
Yeah,
my
right
girl
there.
would send me that 143. I get that 143, bro. I know that I love you too, boo. I know I love you
Yep.
too. That's what that
And
meant.
if you got the 911, you better run.
Oh, boy,
You
get
better
to the
run
phone.
and get that
Get
quarter.
to the phone.
Yo,
Wow.
so I got a question for you, Jeff. Like you said, there is so much difference between just like the way that millennials express themselves and think and what's normal versus like Gen X and then now like Gen Z, like even like watching YouTube, you know, like we we have a little like family YouTube show that we do, and it's hard. It's very hard to balance, like you were saying, balance the time between like I run a business and like between I have 5 kids and run a business and do the YouTube show and then have my Twitter family. I'm constantly beating myself up trying to figure out, okay, am I spending too much time doing this? Am I spending too much time doing that? Am I spending too much time working? I need to be working on my company. I need to be working on my YouTube. But like with YouTube, you know, it's like the kids now, they're so frenetic and so fast paced and always moving. There's no dead air. There's always words on the screen. They're always talking so fast. They cut out like every millisecond of like dead air on there. And you're like, you know, you've been running a brand for so long, and your brand even now, like a huge part of your customer base, you know, is millennials, and that came up like when you first started and are still there, but also you're still constantly trying to attract like you know, you may or may not remember, but you've met my son Link a few times. He's a huge fan of yours. He thinks everything Staple is super cool. He's all about Stapleverse, and you know, and so it's like bridging that gap between like, you know, you're trying to connect to me, the father, and the son, and also keep the brand relevant to the next generation. So how do you kind of balance that?
Yeah, and the Holy Spirit, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, all of y'all. The thing is that, like, even though you mentioned all of like people trying to like cut into microseconds and milliseconds to try to get more out of their day, the thing is, the one constant is that even though with all of this technology and innovation that we have, no one has cracked the code yet on how to get more than 24 hours out of a day, right? And also, no matter how rich you are, you can't buy more time. That's the most valuable asset that we have. And I do this exercise all the time to myself. If you calculate 24 hours in a day, right? As humans, we're supposed to sleep 8 hours a day. Sure, you can cut into that. You could go 6, you could go 4, but you can't do that forever. Science has shown that cutting that down for a long period of time really fucks you up and does much more detriment than it does in the productivity that you think you're getting out of that 1 or extra 2 hours of not sleeping. So if you go 24 minus 8, you're already down to 16, right? What else do humans have to do? You have to eat, and you have to shit, and you have to piss, right? If you factor in all like the biological eating, pissing, and shitting time, that's probably another 2 to 3 hours out of your day, right? So now you're down to like 12, 13 hours. Now you factor in most people have a job, right? And how many hours you work in a full-time job? 8 hours a day. You get 12 minus 8, you're down to 4 hours now. You talk about kids, family members, your mom, your parents, your grandparents, your loved ones, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your best friends, your secondary friends, your tertiary friends, your auntie, your uncle. All of the rest of your life has to fit into that 4 remaining hours. I didn't even begin on building your dream business or like following your passion or exploring new ventures or anything like that. This is just, I literally just went sleeping, eating, pissing, shitting, family, loved ones, and have a job. And you're down to 4 hours a day. Whenever I think about that, that shit blows my mind of how little time we actually have to really explore and experiment with things like this. That's why the fact that we're in this space dedicating our time for each other right now is ridiculously precious, first of all. But second of all, what I want to finally say is that people, especially young people, who try to dissect that remaining time and try to like multitask this and like do 18 things at the same time to try to like life hack and time hack their way in, there's, in my opinion, there's no longevity in that. Like that will lead to burnout. And as society has shown, that will lead to depression. It'll lead to unhealthiness. It'll lead to type 2 diabetes, ADHD, prescription shooting up in like, you know, different meds that you need to take. It'll lead to everyone needing some form of therapy and everything. You know, we're seeing that. I'm not making this shit up, right? There's a huge uptick in all of those things that I just mentioned. And I think it's because all of us stupid human beings are sitting here trying to figure out how to outsmart the 24-hour a day. And I think if we just prioritize what it is that we really love, and wipe away the bullshit, the screen time, the doom scrolling and stuff like that, like we'll all be much, much happier people. And I beg anyone to argue me on this because like I have not figured out a way. I've been at it for 25 years, not figured out how to outsmart the 24 hours a day. You know, like I just think that's the way I've been living my life.
I think you can somehow outsmart it by putting down the phone, by fucking focusing on the things you want to do and love.
Facts.
That's the only way I can think of. But technically, you still have the same hours, but you just whatever you focus on, and
Yeah.
it's like I don't.
You're just not playing the game. You're ejecting out of the
I don't,
rabbit
I
hole.
don't check my
For sure.
socials, emails, anything till like 2 hours at least after I wake up. Uh, I used to wake up, alarm would go off, and get the phone and start scrolling, and I would just it is just a horrible way to start the day. It'll put you in a bad mood if you see something you don't like. You'll start seeing things that people post that maybe you wish you were doing or you had, blah blah blah. It's a horrible, horrible way to start your day. So I highly recommend at least an hour, but if you can go longer than that before you check your phone in the day, it's even better.
Pro
Yo,
tip by ZK again. Pro tip for sure. I'm the same way. I put my phone mad far away in another room. I use it as an alarm, but then I just leave it in that other room until after morning coffee, getting ready, like at least an hour. That's a great pro tip.
as a creator and a community member, I can say for sure, and just as an adult, as a grown ass adult, I'm over 40 now. As I've gotten older and older, the biggest problem in life is what you said, not enough hours in the day. And I think especially with today's society, we're taught that we need all these different things. And so and there's always FOMO, like, if you're not involved in something, then you're missing out on the other thing. And like my pastor told us in a message one time, he's done a ton of funerals and he's visited countless people's, on their deathbeds and in the hospitals, and they've all told him their regrets. And nobody ever, when they're dying, says, I wish I would have worked more, or I wish I would have put in a couple more hours on this project. It's always, I wish I would have spent more time with my loved ones. I wish I would have took that vacation. I wish I would have spent more time appreciating or taking care of myself. But I personally find myself like I find myself in this constant struggle where, number one, I hate sleeping because I feel like it's a waste of time because I could get more stuff done. But my wife tells me the same thing as you all the time. Like, you have to sleep in order to have the energy. And then it's like, I wake up, I try to get up early, I go to the gym because I need it. For me, going to the gym really helps with my mental health and just, having a release and not being stressed out. But then I get back home and I'm trying to run a business and pick my kids up from school. And so it's like, it almost feels like no matter what choice I make, even when I try to force myself to make those choices of, going to my kids' baseball practice, spending time with my kids, going to the gym, spending some time with my wife, then I feel like, okay, you're not working on your business enough. You need to be focused on, attracting new clients and getting the job done. And I thankfully, the truth is that, I think in a lot of our lives, as long as we're trying our hardest and doing the best, kind of God always things tend to work out. Whatever you want to believe in, God, the universe, like, I've been all right. I haven't been struggling for this, that, or the other. Sure, I could have more money or this, but sometimes you just got to tell yourself, hey, take the day off and watch a movie with somebody that you love, or go see Oppenheimer by yourself in the theater, like Compound said. And sometimes Compound, touching grass can be the opposite, in my opinion. Like, I've not been on Twitter very much these last couple months, so maybe like midsummer because the family's been home and doing all that. But these kids running around stressing me out, driving me crazy work. Sometimes I just want to get on Twitter to scroll for a second and just have a little mental break from all my real life stress and everything going on with that. So I think it's just about balance. And for me, it's really, I think the hardest part is just doing the best I can every day and not beating myself up over analyzing. Did I spend too many minutes doing this or doing that? Or should I have spent my time doing this? It's like, just do the best you can, make the best choices you can to balance, finding that balance. And you got to just accept it and live with it.
I got that's amazing. I think I have one piece of like feedback, I guess, from like a hack point of view for me, and it's the only thing that's really worked in my career because I spent 10 years as a freelance artist, not letting anyone touch anything I did: audio editing, image editing, social media management, website building, all that stuff, right? The number one thing that I learned as a hack is just to find people that you can trust to bring along for the ride with you. You cannot do everything yourself and succeed. Very few people get to the top of their game alone. It is just about diversifying and handing things off. And it's a hard thing to do when you're creative, right? You want to have the ultimate control over the end product. You feel like you can maybe always do it better. Maybe by the time I explain it, I could have just done it myself. But it just really becomes a prison for your time. So the one thing that's kind of worked for me is finding people that I can trust that want to jump on the train and go along for the journey. And maybe that I don't have to edit my podcast. I can trust someone to do that for me. Hey, I can send the raw image files out to someone and they can edit them for me, and I'll find a way to dap them up and give thanks. And I think that's like the only thing that's truly an unlock. Like I tried that like no sleep thing, and man, it just buried me. It absolutely put me in the ground. If Elon can sleep 7 hours a day, so can I. I think the number one thing for me was really just like that. You know, it takes an army to build a product, and, you know, you'll see the product come out and you're like, well, that artist did that. Yeah, but he didn't frame it himself, probably didn't lacquer it himself, probably didn't do the photography himself. It is a journey that takes a lot of people to succeed. And then the people that succeed the most are the people that don't take for granted the people that help you get there. And like for me, like 10 years ago, I wish I learned that shit. I was just an idiot who never slept, that just drew all day, painted all day, spent all night doing editing and stuff. And like, man, you gotta bring people along for the ride.
Dude, that is exactly what I was gonna say. Secure hit the nail on the head with that one. A core group is so valuable. To be able to do things and accomplish what your vision actually is, you have to be able to have a core group, and to not burn out and not, just go off the edge. And then also like efficiency. Like be efficient with your time, right? So if you do want to scroll and you do want to get online, or maybe you have your emails that you need to respond to, I don't I don't unlock my phone until my feet touch the treadmill. If I can walk and chew gum, I can walk and respond to an email. I can walk and look at my, whatever it might be online, right? So, and also like I can doom scroll during my piss and shit hours. You know what I mean? Like that's perfectly acceptable. So, it's time efficiency, and just this core group is like for me 100%. That's it.
Piss and shit hours isn't what I
Piss
thought I
and
was
shit.
going to take away from today.
We need a
What
new
did you learn
show
from Jeff
called
tonight?
Piss and Shit Hours. Yo,
Yo,
Pampa, I
Jeff,
don't know if you heard, but I gotta bounce pretty soon. But like, if there's anyone that has any questions and stuff, we should get it in soon. I got about maybe 10 minutes left.
I got a question for you, Jeff, and Zaid. Like we see, like with these gasless contracts, being able to equip your staple verse with these different outfits, it just opens up so many possibilities. And I saw, like look at your PFP. Like you have the magic white T-shirt, you got the Pidgey in hand. You could switch to the rhymes like dimes, apple in hand. You do it like this fast, and there's no gas. It's so easy, and it's fun. It's like it's like choosing your outfit for the day, or being able it's picking your kicks for the changing your without having to change your whole PFP. And you guys have really like led the way on that. I saw a little alpha on, I think it was Harlan, or maybe uh somebody was posting that the artifact's probably going to go gasless soon. So I wanted to just see if like this opened up this dope ability to like collab with Zaid, and you guys able to work together on this project. And now this doesn't have to be the first thing you can do. You could do something else. You could move it on to shirts or shoes or whatever else you're doing. So I want to kind of ask you about what do you think the possibilities are, as far as collaborating with other artists, as far as with customizing your PFP, and like what do you think the possibilities are in the future with that?
One word, limitless, man. I mean, you should see our pipeline right now, of artists, brands, and we were even talking about this morning on the office hours. Like we were talking chefs. What else were we saying this morning? We had some great tattoo
Tattoo
artists.
artists,
Like
music,
yes, like
musicians.
musician.
All
Oh
time.
yeah, music is the production. Like you're gonna be pleasantly surprised, I'm hoping, when you see the Rolodex of people that I have in my network that are just inspiring in all sorts of different ways, and how we're doing it with, in my opinion, the low hanging fruit, like t-shirt graphics and artists, because it's PFPs, it's NFTs, it's a visual thing. But when you start incorporating the other senses, like I said, like taste and sound, I think we're really going to blow people away. And to me, this is like the new university. Like this is how, like, a 13-year-old, in my opinion, is going to learn. They talk about, like, first there was vocational school, then college, and then like people drop out, and then now there's YouTube University and stuff. But I think the next generation is going to learn directly from this, because how else can you like interact directly with the people that have forged the way that you look up to, in a really intimate way, whether it's through, the workshops that we're doing, that we're going to be doing with ZK, C Division, which is like the sort of graduate level program where you actually get to work hand in hand with them. But then, frankly, even if you're not that interested, like I remember AC said this morning, like he's not an artist, he's not a visual person, but the fact that he can just own a piece of that art and now, like you just said, rep it on your quote unquote body, meaning your sapiens, and you could change it up every hour if you wanted to. That shit is so damn cool to me. And I got to give a shout out to the Future Primitive team and Benny G, who helped turn my crazy sort of dream into a reality. And I don't know if you guys know the story, but like the dream that I had was how when I was young and I used to be a quote unquote a backpacker, meaning you would never, the term came from like a kid that never left his or her backpack at home. They would always have a backpack on. And I had like 5 or 6 different backpacks. I'd have one backpack for graffiti, one for DJing with my records in it, one for photos with my photography and my cameras in it, one for art with my sketchbooks and markers in it. So I had these different bags. And depending on my mood and vibe for that day, I'd be like, yo, today is my DJ gig. I'm going to bring my DJ bag. Today I'm going to do art. This is my art bag. And I would take a different backpack with me. And I started to think about what that would look like in the NFT space, where what if your PFP, different ones could represent different aspects of your life? Like you can have a sapiens that represents your love for culinary arts. You can have a sapiens that represents your love for music. And that sapiens can also be able to collect other NFTs that it's into, but all of them are owned and controlled by you, the human being, which now shows your complete repertoire of interests. That shit started to blow my mind. I think it blew Benny's mind as well. So we started to work together to figure out how that could become a reality. The birth of that is ERC 6551, which is token bound accounts, which is the ability for an NFT to own an NFT, to own an NFT, and inception on and on and on. And that's the baseline for what we're doing. But at the end of the day, it was really important for me that we do, even though the tech is amazing and the coding and the development's amazing, at the end of the day, it still needs to be, air quotes, dope. We still need to be working with artists and creatives like ZK that are dope and fresh and fly to show how amazing this is. I think the carrot is that the artwork's amazing. And then, like you were saying, when you start equipping it onto your sapiens, you start to understand like, oh shit, this is bigger than just dope art. This is actually like a gateway to a whole new world. So thank you for recognizing that and just reminding me to be able to like show love and show flowers for what we've been building.
I mean, yeah,
That's
there's not much I can add to that, man. Like pretty much what he said. I mean, we already do that in real life, right? Like you dress the way you want to dress because you want to represent yourself a certain way. You want to show the world what you like. And this is just the digital version of that. And this is gonna make it easier. We do it in video games. You set up characters in some games to look like the version of you that you want to look like, and it's just the NFT version, the digital version. So yeah, everything Jeff said is on point.
Sapiens is from what I know, the first PFP project implementing 6551 and doing it in the way that you're doing it, the backpack style, equipping, different customizations and NFTs. And the ZK collab is my first add-on, my first customization that I've picked up as well for my Sapiens. So I'm starting to see exactly kind of the vision, and I think it's fucking dope. So how did the collab come about? How did it all start? Was there a DM? Because I've heard your story with Artifact, Jeff. I've heard your story, and I think I've heard ZK story too. Like it started with a DM. Would love to hear how it started here.
ZK, you want to take that?
Yeah, mine was just I I'm a firm believer of putting things out in the universe, and I just tweeted something about wanting to collab with Atmos, Stussy, I can't remember what the other company was. And then Ryan just so happened to be following me, who was also a clone, and he's like, dude, I know somebody I could put you in. And never in my mind I thought he was talking about Jeff Staples. And that's pretty much that was the link, man. He's the one that put this all together in my mind. I don't know if Jeff was already looking or something, but as far as I know, Ryan was the link, and it was just me tweeting something out into the universe.
Yo, actually, I gotta chime in because I know. I mean, I'm a little tiny cog in the wheel, but I think actually you posted that, and I posted on there and tagged Stapleverse like, "Yo, you got to get a Stapleverse with collab." And then Ryan responded to that and saw that because me and Ryan are really close and we talk a bunch. That's the homie. Ryan's amazing. But I think I was the one that actually shot it out. Like said, you got to do it. You had mentioned a bunch of companies, and I said you got to do a collab with Stapleverse, and then Ryan was like, "We can make that happen." And then Ryan kind of filled in the gap. So.
Oh, dude, then I retract my statement. It was all Sir Snap right there. So yeah, I mean,
And then
sometimes
was that right around NFT NYC?
I,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was right around
it
then.
was
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, and like, yeah, man, like I said, that's the beauty of Web3 is like you have you can just throw something out there in the universe, and you just never know who is gonna see it and or who's following you that can give you those keys to accomplish that whatever it is you want to do. So it's important. I always tell people throw things out there in the universe because you just never know what's gonna stick.
Yeah, bro. The space is so slept on, and it's getting smaller, and the noise is gone, right? And you'll never hit if you don't swing. And that's some good advice from Music K. Fucking swing. Like, take your shots, throw it out there into the universe, because you never know what's gonna happen, man.
And speaking of that, Jeff, if you can link me with somebody at Stussy, if you know somebody at Stussy, man, I've been trying to get that collab forever.
I do know people. The problem is there's not a lot of like streetwear brands like you mentioned that are open to the space. They're actually very closed off and closed minded to it. It's really wild. It's surprising to me that some of these brands that like were born on being counterculture, anti-establishment, and innovative are now shuttering on Web3.
Would it
Outside of me, Bobby, and Sean Witherspoon, there's not really a lot.
uh would it be me going against Web3 if it was like, fuck it, I'll take a Web2 collab?
Oh man, do it.
Nah, do it, whatever. Yeah. Yep.
Get your heart out there. Who cares about the separation between the two? I think there's got to be a sense of emerging the both. We can't be one or the other, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
I had a question. It actually kind of brings up a question from earlier when you guys were talking about old heads, and I didn't want to call nobody in here old head. Y'all said it, not me. What sets you apart, Jeff, from your peers that you grew up with? That is it curiosity that made you come to the space? Like what makes you different from them when it comes to um, being curious about this space and just kind of branching out into new areas of tech?
I think maybe one of my superpowers is that even though I treat everything that I do and put my name on with a ton of craft and pride and respect, at the same time, I'm kind of willing to lose it all. I know that sounds weird, but I have like this really weird gambler's mentality, and I know that life is short, and I know that holding on to like material things and like possessions and your accomplishments is like full on just egotistical. It's just the ego speaking, you know what I mean? And so I have a little bit of this gambler's mentality where I'm willing to just go all in on something and just be like, fuck it, let's just see how it goes. If it doesn't work, it wasn't meant to be. I don't think it's going to sink my entire life's work in my ship. Of course, I'm not reckless. There's a difference between being like stupid and reckless and being risk averse. And also, the other thing is, I just trust my gut wholeheartedly. Like, if I feel something in my core is one way and everyone around me is like, no, that shit is whack, I will tend to still listen to my core. Maybe some people will call that stubborn, but I just really trust my intuition and my instincts, especially now. I mean, early on, if you're like within the first 5 years, 7 years of your career, I do agree with what was said earlier that you should surround yourself with your crew and really bounce ideas off of your trusted circle. But when you've been in it for like 3 decades and on, like you should trust that you know how to use your sword, and you should trust your superpower and your radar, that when you meet someone and you're like, it goes both ways too, by the way. You meet someone and they're inspiring, like ZK. I met you in my office during NFT NYC, and I just felt really good vibes. Your work speaks for itself. Obviously, the quality of your work speaks for itself. But more importantly, your vibe was dope, and we really just got along. And even if somebody came and said, "Yo, you shouldn't work with ZK for yada yada reason," I'd be like, "I don't give a fuck what you say. Like ZK was cool peoples to me. His work is dope. He's got a great following, and we're gonna fuck with each other." But it goes the opposite way too. Sometimes I meet somebody and I'm like, "Yo, they feel really weird to me. Like I have a weird vibe, but everything about them on paper is someone that I should work with. Oh, they're really famous, or they're really rich, or they have a lot of access to yada yada yada. Like everything on paper is like I should fuck with this person, but every time I meet with them, I feel weird, and I need to trust that instinct too. You know what I mean? So it definitely swings both ways, but I think the secret to it is just really trusting that intuition or that close circle of friends, and just having belief in yourself.
It almost falls into that same kind of category that ZK just said, is like you're not going to hit if you don't swing, and you
Mm-hmm.
you implement that into the risk you're taking, or even trying something new. Like this is the same kind of concept. Like you got to try it, you got to swing.
Yes.
Dre Millie in the house. You made it for the last few minutes of the space. I gotta say what's up to my co-hostess with the mostest that's been replaced with two great co-hosts tonight. What's up, bro? How are you?
What's good? What's good, man? I'm glad I finally got some time to jump on this thing. I gotta apologize to you guys. Jeff, you already know what it is, man. Every time I get into space with you, I let you know how legendary you are, and this is no different. Still legendary. I can't believe that you even here having these conversations with us still to this day. Still. And just let you know, man, I appreciate you, bro.
Word.
This is all
I'm
dope.
glad I got to hear your voice right before I have to hop, but really happy that you came on.
You already know what it
You can
is,
grab
man.
the steering wheel
You already
now.
know what it is, bro. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for your time, as always, man. Appreciate it.
Word up. Well, peace out, everyone. And one more shameless plug. ZK and I got 2 days left in our collaboration. Links are everywhere in our accounts, but you could head to Zora and get it. There's about 2 days left. I think we're like just on the hair of 600 being moved right now. We also just revealed today the bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, and we revealed what that means by showing the dark pigeon in hand, the quote unquote evil pigeon in hand, which I fucking love, and it just shows the duality of all of us. We all have a light side, but we all have a dark side. I think we got to embrace that. We're not all angels. We all got a little bit of devil in us. So we represented that with the dark pigeon, and everyone who gets the light pigeon automatically will get the dark pigeon. And then, of course, what that unlocks in the future with workshops between us, see the visions for working with us intimately in the future. And then who knows, there could be some other stuff that we haven't announced yet, but we're gonna save that for the holders only. So definitely go out there and get that before the deadline hits. But thank you guys for having me as always. I always love it being here.
Hey, before you head out, brother, I gotta ask you, what's your favorite color? Do you have a favorite color?
My favorite color is pigeon gray.
All right, I
It's a
just
trademark color, my man.
okay. I needed to know for your character, but okay, cool.
Yes, yes. All my
That was the
cars are
most
pigeon
baller
gray.
shit I've ever heard in my life, bro. That was the
I
most
have a
baller
trademark
shit right
color,
there.
man. So anyone who's a car freak out there, by the way, this is a side note, like we did a collaboration with a car paint company that does wraps and paints called Inozetech, Inozetek, and we trademarked the staple pigeon gray, which incorporates the gray with the pigeon pink all into one color. So it doesn't matter what you drive, you could have a freaking like Toyota Yaris, you could get that shit done in like staple pigeon gray, man. And anywhere in the world. I have people in Hong Kong and like New Zealand, like, yo, I just got my car pigeon grayed out. It's so sick to see this. So that's definitely one of my proudest moments, having a color.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
That's pretty gangster,
how many people.
actually.
Bro, that shit is so fucking fly, bro.
Right. All right, fellas. Peace out. Have a good weekend,
All right,
everyone.
All
peace
right,
out,
Jeff.
man.
We appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming through.
Yes, sir.
My man said he got a color, bro.
He
That's
I
crazy.
don't.
my color, bro.
You know what mind blows me about this whole thing is like people like him that are willing to spend time on these spaces and answer questions and everything. And I think about like 2002 when I first started like really taking my art seriously. I was like into trying to be a graphic designer and learn how to do logos and stuff to make my own shirts. And like that version of me would be just going crazy like if I had access to Jeff like the way I do now. like even just in spaces like now, it's pretty fucking crazy to think that this is all possible because of the space we're in.
Bro, you
Dude,
got
it
big flowers to you, man. You putting in the work, and then you're swinging. Like you putting it out into the universe, like you said. You're making dope shit, and then you're putting out into the universe feelers, saying like, "Look, I want to make dope shit with y'all," and so that's how these things come about. I agree. The space is a beautiful space, especially during a bear market. The noise is gone, like we talk about, but the opportunities to connect with people that you may have wanted to work with, or do want to work with, it's like it happens here. So it's so cool to see, bro. Like we're proud of you.
Zay, you fucking killing it, man. You got a Nike Air Force One, bro. You got a fucking traits on clones. You got a collab with Jeff Staple, bro. Like, I don't know if you ever take the time and just sit back and be like, what the fuck? This is crazy.
Yeah, man.
Because
Sometimes
it's crazy.
I just be like the simulation's glitching in my favor, and I do really appreciate like all the opportunities I've had, but at the same time, I don't I don't want to say dwell on them because it's not a bad thing, but I don't let them like you was talking earlier. Like I don't really like let them get to my ego because I know there's so much more I still want to do and accomplish. So it's just the beginning, but yeah, man. Of course, I have to show gratitude to the universe for the things that I've accomplished so far. But honestly, man, I'm just having fun. I'm doing me. I'm staying in my lane. Ignoring the noise, and I think that's really the best way to operate. Especially, yeah, like right now, it's a bear market, and that's the best thing you can do right now, man. Is just get to work and put in the time because this thing is a roller coaster, and there'll be highs again, and that's when more opportunities will come. And if you've been working this whole time, then it'll be a lot easier for you to take advantage of some of those opportunities.
That's a fact. I'm working on getting myself a color as well, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm only known like it was Jay-Z. Like my favorite hue was Jay-Z blue. I was the only person I knew who had color. Now this Jeff Stable got a pigeon pink. That's crazy.
So I will literally, I don't even know if I want to say this because I don't want nobody to steal it, but if you steal it, you'll know it's for me. There's a certain shade of blue I want to name after my cat, Case Blue. And so now, yeah, Jeff has inspired me to see what how I can go about that.
I don't
I
even know how you would do that. How you get a color, bro? Who you talk to? I'm enamored. This is crazy.
How is it even
Dude,
legal?
a bunch of brands actually trademark colors. It's they keep it on the low, but it kind of gets wiped out from a commercial point of view. I don't know if you guys know that, but there's like a shade of purple that belongs to Cadbury, and a lot of brands in their logos actually trademark their colors so no one can fuck with them. But Jeff's actually not just got a trademark color; he's got a trademark colorway. Let's be honest. If you see anything in two shades of gray and pink, you think Jeff Staple.
That's a fact. That's a major fact. That's a Snapple fact. I agree.
I was gonna ask earlier on, but the conversation was going so well. What was the oh shit moment for you, ZK? Like during your career and like you're creating. What was your oh shit moment that was like oh shit, like this is kind of big. Like what I'm doing is big.
Uh, I I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't the Nike thing because the Nike thing was just a byproduct of Artifact being uh, acquired by Nike. So I think they had to switch their shoe silhouettes to an actual real Air Force One because I don't think Nike liked the idea of some like quote unquote bootleg silhouettes being out there. Uh, my oh shit moment, honestly, I can't even really talk about it. It goes back to that esports organization I did some work with, and once they like accepted my bid, that's when I was like, oh shit, like it's happening. Like I'm getting paid for like commercial work, what I'm worth in my mind. And it's not even, I wouldn't even say commercial work because this brand gave me 100% creative freedom. They're like, yeah, no, just follow this theme and you can do whatever the hell you want. And it was, I don't want to say it was simple, but it wasn't something that was like super detail oriented like my friend's piece, it was more of like a single character. And I asked them for what I did, and they gave it to me, and that's when I was like, oh shit, like I have leverage now. And of course, obviously, the Nike thing helped, uh, uh, and all my other collabs that I've done within like Web3 companies like Cultivate, shout out to them, Korea, shout out to him, um, Metashima. Who else have I done something with? I hope I'm not missing somebody. Um, but yeah, it's just been a accumulation of all those things. But I think my ocean moment was that, and yeah, I think that was my ocean. I actually had a couple, but I think that's my most recent one. But okay, so my first ocean moment was when I sold my Genesis piece when I entered the space. Uh, that was another. That's when I was like, dude, it's fucking finally paying off. Like you're finally like your work is finally being recognized for what it's worth. In my mind, this is all in my reality. Of course, people could think my work is worth a lot less or whatever. But yeah, it's like when that Genesis piece was getting bids, I remember being like on an Xbox party chat with my homies and like be like, dude, I got a new bid. Like, holy fuck, this is crazy. Like, it's up to like $12,000, blah blah. And like every time I would get a bid, like I'd be like, dude, this is ridiculous, bro. Like, don't I've only ever sold like a piece for $1,000 back in the day, and like this is nuts to me. So I think that was like the first OG oh shit moment. Um, but yeah, man, it's all because of the space. To be honest, it's that's what I owe it to.
All right, Zay, let me ask you this. So you having that oh shit moment, do you think it came from the buildup of having such a huge or having huge collaborations in Web3, like the Metashima, like Korea, like Cultivate? Were those the things that you showed up and was like, yo, this is what I've done and this is what I can do for you and this is my bid for that. What's up?
No, bro. So the people that so all these collabs. Let me think about my answer real quick. Hold on, because I don't think I've ever really actually approached any of these people first. Um, I think the Jeff Staples one was a mutual thing because like Sir Snapback linked us. But as far as like Cultivate, I believe they reached out to me. Kriya reached out to me. Metashima reached out to me. Artifact reached out to me. Uh, so I've never really. So I think they've already like just exploring my work through social media. They kind of already knew. But this other one, the big commercial one, if you want to call it that for now, was because of somebody that was part of they used to work, they don't work with them anymore, but they just so happen to be a clone. And because of all the shit I did with Artifact, they liked my work and then they recommended me to this company. So I've never, I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but I've never had to like bring my stuff to the table and be like, this is what I've done. It's like people come to me, which is fucking crazy that I'm even saying that. But yeah, I've just been so blessed that that's how it's happened, to be honest. Um, and I think that shows that I'm on the right path. Uh, just because if people come to you, it means they want to work with you and they already know about you. Uh, so it's been fairly easy in that sense.
Yeah, that was a major flex right there, though. That's stupid dope, bro. It's so fire, man. Like we just said, they had the conversation, right? Like, and I jumped in late, but I've had the same conversation with Jeff about how dope it is to sit up here and have these conversations with him being a legend, him being somebody that in the streetwear culture game I looked up to for quite some time, just because of what he's done with his artwork and his presence, right? But we are watching new legends in the art category be formed right now with what you're doing, right? And it's coming from all of this stuff. Like you said, you didn't have to reach out to them. They coming to you because of what you've already done and they know how you can execute. So these are the same situations that happened with them back in the day, but just utilizing, here go the word, with other technologies in this sector. It's they came to Jeff before because of whatever he built up, and it was like, yo, here, you got an opportunity to create a shoe. What can you do with it? And it became iconic. Same situation here. We watching this stuff unfold by being here every single day, and I think that's dope to sit up here and acknowledge on its own.
And I mean, look, don't get it twisted. I will be humble enough to reach out first too. Like I've been trying to reach out. I need the keys to Louis Vuitton. I need the keys to Stussy. I need the keys to Atmos. I need the keys to Supreme. Like if you know those keys, like let me know. Like uh, I trust me. I don't mind asking first as well. I just do what I do, man. I just work. I love making art. Like I do this shit every day. Like I think about it before I go to bed. I go to bed thinking about how I'm gonna wake up, and I'm excited to keep working on whatever it is that I'm working. And then like throughout the day, like I just like I said, I there's tons of fucking anime movies that are still sealed. There's tons of video games. Like I still have uh fucking that's that game everybody was playing. That's fuck, I can't even think of Elder Ring, still in the plastic, and I bought it when it came out. Like just because I was like, I really want to play this, but then like once I got it, like it's just like I'd rather spend my time working. But I do got to get better at like allowing myself to relax and enjoy some of those things. But dude, yeah, I just like this shit so much that like this is me, and I can confidently say that I was placed on this rock to make art, and I don't know anything else. It's my calling.
So it's a testament. Those putting it out there for people to see and us to see, and you're putting it's like almost basically putting your portfolio out there, right? So people see what you're about, and you don't always have to reach out and say this is what I'm about because you've already done the work to put it out there publicly for them to see. So don't discount yourself about like not putting fillers out because you're putting fillers out every day, man. Every time you put something dope on the timeline, that is you showing what you're about.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously you guys know I love my fucking cats like more than anything, except art maybe, but but yeah, man, like yeah, there's ways to show the world how what you're about and whatnot, but overall, yeah, I think I just feel really blessed and lucky that I can do this. And by any means, man, I don't feel like I'm a legend. I don't feel like I'm anything major or big, just because I know there's so much more to accomplish. And if I start thinking like that, if I start getting all that, letting it get to my head, it's just gonna hinder progress. And it it's better to stay humble than be a fucking egotistical asshole that people start to hate because you think you're the best at something. I do. It's a fine balance because we all have egos, and the ego sometimes keeps you alive. But that's one of the reasons why I always, whenever I say the statement is, I want to be one of the greatest to ever do it. I never say I want to be the greatest because that's just diabolical. It sounds crazy to say that if you want to like I don't know. It just sounds bad. So I always like to phrase it like that. Like I want to be one of the greatest because there's always going to be somebody better than you. And you can either take that as like, fuck, like that sucks. Like I hate that person. Or you can take that as inspiration and motivation to get better, like for yourself.
100%, bro. I agree. That's good. That's good, Alpha. Um, Kuro, my dude, what's up, bro?
Bro, honestly, like Zayd is one of the like most humble people I've ever met in this space. Like, yo, I just like other people I know, they got Nike shoes and they switched up. Like, bro, I asked this guy some of the weirdest questions in the DMs, and he still responds to me, bro. I really appreciate him, cause like, that level of humility is wild to have when you have these accomplishments. Like, I look at Friends as like his magnum opus, cause like, bro, over 2,000 hours is a long time to do anything. Okay. It's like a really, really long time. And no matter what, he keeps pushing, and it just keeps evolving and getting like more intricate and more intense. And just like his color theory is beyond belief. Like, I actually have it as like the background on my computer monitor, because like it just, like, you can't not be happy when you're looking at it. Like, it just has that effect, and I just love this guy for that.
Dude, thank you so much for your kind words. I actually hate when people have that as their wallpaper right now because it's unfinished, and it bothers me seeing like unfinished parts. And whenever they send me like pictures of their screen or whatever, and I see like a part that I know is not done, and I'm like, fuck, that looks fucking ugly. But I mean, regardless, like the sentiment is, it's amazing, man. And thank you. And dude, I always try to reply to everybody. I know DMs get crazy, and sadly, there's a bunch of bots and scammers, and you gotta be careful. But like, if I see your shit and like you're asking like a genuine question for help or just anything like that, like I always try my best to respond. I can't get to everybody, but I think that's one of the things I've always kept from back in the day. Like, I would always try to respond to everybody. Because if someone takes the time to engage with you and ask you something about your artwork, I feel like it's a good idea to reply back to them because just that small interaction, you can create a new quote unquote fan or supporter for life, and it could just be that small interaction. So I mean, next time someone asks you something under a tweet about your art and you feel annoyed because you've been asked that question hundreds of times already, I think it's important to flip it around and see it the other way and be like, oh, well, this person is genuinely curious. Like, take the 2 seconds to respond, and you could have a supporter for life.
Yeah.
Also, those brands that you mentioned, I'm gonna try and introduce you to somebody that can help you out. Um, he's a good friend of mine. We're trying to do a CloneX activation in Miami and in Toronto, so I'm gonna introduce you to him, and he'll help you out, bro.
Hey, let's go, brother. Thank you, thank you.
Hey Zaid, so before so I'm assuming you've obviously been doing artwork for quite a while now. You just don't like wake up one day and just throw this stuff out there. So, um, but and pardon me if you've already said this. I was rugging earlier, so I didn't hear you for a little while. But um, did like the any of these like kind of bigger collabs like contracts or whatever, did you kind of come into any of those before the Artifact collab, or was the Artifact collab kind of like the launching board? Because the reason why I ask is because it was not long ago. Like, like Artifact's so brand new, and for you to have started there with like maybe that being like the first kind of contractors step in, and even like I'm not just specifically talking Web3. I mean, if you've done other shit in Web2 with other brands or companies, that's kind of what I'm asking too, because it's just such a short period of time for you to have all these collabs, and it's pretty amazing to see that in just like what, a year and a half, 2 years or whatever it's been. Like, it's pretty incredible to see in that small amount of time.
Yeah, man. So yeah, prior to Web3, I've never had like a major collab, to be honest. So I would say, yeah, when it comes to collabs, Artifact was definitely the springboard that started it all. Uh, but the reason why Zaptio, I believe, DM'd me on Instagram that one day is because he saw the work I did on Super Rare. Because back then Super Rare was like the place to mint your one out of ones if you were an artist. And so it started from my work for my Genesis piece, and then I think two more pieces I did after that. But more specifically to your question, yeah, I I will always be grateful to the Artifact guys, especially Zaptio, because Zaptio was the one that started it all by just sending me a random DM on Instagram, and and I'll keep it completely honest. Like, he DM'd me, and I don't think I responded right away, and I saw his page, and I was like, oh, that looks dope, but I still didn't respond right away. And then finally, like one day, like I was going through my DMs again, and I just started responding to some of the stuff I hadn't. And yeah, I responded. And I think that was like one of the best decisions I ever did in my life. But yeah, it was all because of him. And it started with, what did we do first? It was the meta jacket, I believe, is the first thing I ever did with Artifact. And then after that was the drip character, which, turned into the Air Forces eventually. But yeah, just working for them, I think on the traits really is the real like Web3 first collab where I had to sign like real contracts and shit. And I think from that, because I don't know if it's painful for the clones, us clones, to remember when like the floor price was like really sweet and everything, and like everybody was just like so enamored with the project. Everything was being revealed, and all the traits were brand new to us, and everything was sick. I mean, it's still sick, but you guys know what I mean. That initial feeling of the first like couple weeks, months, like uh, and yeah, I think the some of the traits, luckily, that I did for the project were a lot of people's fan favorites, if you will. And I think how all these other projects like Cultivate and Metashima and Kriya saw like the success of that, and they liked the traits that I did for the project. So I think that's what initially drew them to me, and I think that's just how everything started. Yeah, it started with Artifact. If we're being honest, when it comes to the collapse.
It's just so dope to see, like, because I'm assuming you're not like before kind of the NFT boom, like you probably weren't too familiar with like 3D, design, stuff like that. That's just an assumption. I could be completely off, but it's just amazing to see you find your way into these projects that are like mainly 3D based, with Cultivate, with Artifact, and how you've been able to like catapult yourself into different collabs and different projects from that, because it's one thing to just like sure get the opportunity and maybe do a really great job with one opportunity, but to turn that one opportunity into two, into three, into four, and continue that momentum with the quality and kind of keeping everything together, it says a lot in such a small amount of time. That really says a lot. So it's really cool to see how you've kind of blended your way in. I really like it.
You know what? I'm kind of like a weasel when it comes to the 3D part you just talked about because, dude, I don't know 3D, bro. Like, I've been so lucky that these projects like my work so much that I've always been honest with everybody, and every time they've reached out to me, I'm like, bro, I don't know how to do 3D art. Like, I can sketch you out like some sick ass like 2D concepts, and if you're cool with bringing that to 3D, then let's work. But other than that, bro, I don't know Blender, I don't know 3D. And they're like, so I think Benito was one of the ones like, don't worry about it, man. We'll bring it to 3D. Like, your work is sick. Like, we'll worry about that. And yeah, man. So it's like I've been like weaseling my way to the 3D world, even though I don't know 3D, which is pretty hilarious now that I think about it. But yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. But I'm so lucky that these companies have taken a shot on me, especially because I don't know 3D, and I guess they just like my work so much that they're willing to, I guess, for them to put in that extra work, and make my assets into 3D.
Well, shit, bro, keep it up because all of us, like when you succeed and our creators succeed, the people who don't know 2D or 3D, like myself, like get to promote it and like be proud of it, bro. Um,
I think I'm getting rugged.
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Can now.
My bad, my bad. I just said keep up the good work, bro, because we're proud of you. Like we're proud of our creators out here. Um, and I'm excited to see like where you take it and where you go, man.
Thank you, man, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. It's I always see you guys online whenever I put on my phone, like whenever I'm scrolling around this time, and I'm like, damn, these guys are consistent. And sometimes I hop in and just listen, and I think a long time ago I told you guys that like I like hopping in like spaces like that and just draw as I just listen in the background, just to kind of stay a little bit in tune with the community. these last couple of months, I haven't really been spending much time on the phone as much as I used to at the beginning. Just trying to implement more healthier, choices overall in my life, and mental health is one of them where like I just try to stay away from the phone as much as possible, just to utilize that time to be putting it into my artwork. Because dude, you'd be surprised how much like, oh yeah, I'm gonna scroll for like 5 minutes real quick, but those 5 minutes add up if you keep doing it throughout like your workflow, and all of a sudden you're spending 30 to 40 minutes doing that shit, and that's like 40 minutes of sketching I could have been doing. But yeah, no, it's cool to see you guys still doing this thing when I turn the phone on, and I just want to thank you all, and it, I saw that video homeboy drop. What, I can't pronounce his name. Alice
We just call him Ali.
Ali. Dude, that guy deserves all the fucking flowers that he's been getting, and I hope Artifact does something for him really nice. I don't even care for them to give him a job because he doesn't need them. They need him, in my opinion. But uh, they got to do something for the guy because that guy is killing it. He's fucking killing it, and all the shit he's been dropping is amazing. And I didn't even know I was gonna be in the video, and the back of my head was, but I knew it was me. So I thought that was really fucking cool. But yeah, man, I like seeing the like I always say the CloneX community is probably like the best like creative collective in the space. There's nobody touching it. No other project is touching the creative powerhouse that this community is. And like as a creator myself, I always get inspired seeing people create, especially people that at the beginning of this didn't know shit. Like some of you guys fucking know 3D 1,000 times better than me, and it's like awesome. It's fucking cool to see what you guys are coming up with, and I just love how this whole space is turning a lot of people into creators, and it's just cool. And from an artist perspective, it's cool to see more people create.
I think I know two Rupsy and Cass both have told me personally that they started 3D once they started when they got involved in CloneX. That's actually why. So on that topic is consistency, man. I think that's the key, right? Like if we're out here doing spaces, or if your thing is writing threads and creating art, learning 3D, I think it all just kind of comes down to just doing it and showing up and doing it, and then you'll find success. And then, like you said, bro, the thing that I'm going to take for tonight, like what I'm leaving here tonight with, out of everything that was said, was you saying that sometimes you just got to swing. Like you just have to put it out into the universe. Like if you want to do something, or you want something, or you want to work with someone, put it out into the universe, because you never know when the shit's gonna hit. That's what I'm taking
Yeah,
away
man.
from.
Yeah, man. And if you guys are closing the spaces, I just want to leave you guys with dude, like for anybody that doesn't know me, like from Web 2 days, from like 2012, like I've been actively grinding my ass off since like 2012. Like it used to take me like 2 to 3 weeks to sell out like 15 prints. Um, so I always like to mention this because a lot of people now, especially that are new to somebody, they see someone have like some sort of success and they feel some type of way or they get jealous or they're like, why can't that be me? And it's like, dude, just speaking from my experience, dude, I've been grinding this shit out since like 2012, and it's not just till these last like 2.5 years where like I can really finally feel like I can breathe, like it's happening, like finally, like thank you God. And it's like, dude, you guys, like it's just goes to show you never know how long someone's been grinding. So just because you're not having success right now, it doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. You just gotta keep doing it. And success and money and all this shit is just a byproduct of you doing it. If you are a true artist at heart, a true creator, you're gonna fucking do that shit no matter what. And you're gonna get good at it because you love to do it. You're gonna put in the time. And all the other shit is just gonna come with it. Those are byproducts. And yeah, like I said, this is the perfect time to put your head down and work because there's no noise, and that's like if we're closing the space, that's the last piece of advice I wanna say to all the creators out there.
Consistency, baby. We are going to close a space. I don't like to close spaces without saying hi to the fam that just came up. Let's say what's up to Shadow, and then we'll say what's up to Johnny and call it a night. Shadow, what's up, bro?
Yeah, sorry, I had stuff I had to do. It was just bad timing, man. But I know y'all probably been talking about the shoe. I guess really the only thing I have to ask is, other than one of the founders saying that it's going to have the same properties as the digital crypto kicks, and the pictures that we've seen, has the conversation shed light on anything else that we might have missed, or is that pretty much it?
No, we actually we've stayed off topic tonight. We're talking about ZK's art and his work, and then we were talking about his collab with Jeff Staple. But what we could do is fire up a space maybe tomorrow morning and kind of dive into the crypto kick or the crypto dunks if you're down.
Oh, okay, my bad. I didn't know.
No, yeah, no worries, bro. It's been a good space. Johnny, my dude, what's up?
Yeah, unfortunate timing. Yeah, I was in a meeting. I apologize about that. But Z, you obviously know how I feel about you. Been a minute. Proud of you. Just keep crushing it. You know I'm a huge fan. Just wanted to say that before you close the space.
Thank you, bro, and much love to you, and you deserve all the flowers as well. Like fucking designing shoes for Neymar, and fucking who else was the other one? Messi. God damn it, I don't like Messi that much, but that's fucking awesome. Congrats, man. Much love to you, brother. Keep killing it as well, man. For real, for real.
Appreciate you always, my guy.
Legends in this. Some legends out here. Dre Millie, you got anything for us, my man?
It's been a good day, man. So it's been a real good day. This energy continues to flow through our community, and I love it. We can look out our window and see that it's a hellfire of inferno everywhere else. Everything else is burning down. But I said it once, and I'll always say it. Like, we already went through that. We were born in the dark, and it can't stay dark forever. And as you can see, like, the light at the end of the tunnel is getting closer and closer. And every day we keep coming here and having these conversations together as a family, we realize how close it's getting. So let's just keep going, man. Everybody, y'all all killing it, man. Everybody who's in here, who's showing up every single day to have these conversations with us and spread this love and this energy, y'all killing it. And we appreciate every single one of y'all. So let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, we appreciate you, bro. We appreciate everybody who came through and participated. Everybody listening, we love you all. We'll touch bases again on Monday. And Shadow, hit me up. We'll do a little space tomorrow and talk about everything else, bro.
Cool. Peace out,
Sounds good.
everybody.
See y'all.
Be kind to each other.
Bye-bye.